welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be reading the Tessa Bailey It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, Sinker duology. I honestly should have done this last year, but I didn't. Also apologies for the weird angle and the weird lighting. Can't really do a lot about it right now. But yeah, so oh my god, they are long summaries. Basically I'm going to read these two. I'm not actually going to read out the summaries because they're really long, but I think this is going to be Grumpy Sunshine, and then this one I think is Friends to Lovers. This video might have spoilers, so spoiler warning I guess, because I'm kind of going to go a bit more in depth and in detail with it, and I'm not going to talk about obvious spoilers unless I feel a need to, if there are any. So we're going to start now with It Happened One Summer, and then obviously once I've finished it we will move on to Hook, Line and Sinker. They are quite thick books, so it'll probably take me a few days for each, but yeah, we're going to get started with It Happened One Summer. Okay, so far Piper has been dumped, and so she broke the law and ended up in jail, and now she's in trouble for that, and her stepdad wants to send her to Westport, Washington, which is where her dad is from, and she's got to go and run his like bar for 3 months, and her sister Hannah has said she's going to go with her, and I think we're just about to meet Brendan, and yeah, I think this is going to be a very fun read. Brendan is really giving me Jason Momoa in Aquaman energy and vibes, and like just grumpy fisherman like that. If you know which book I'm on about, then if you've seen Aquaman, where he's like the grumpy fisherman sort of thing in a coastal town, something like that, that's what it's giving me. They've also just met, and Piper and Brendan obviously really haven't gotten along right from the very beginning, and he obviously thinks she's very spoiled, I think, and she thinks he's grumpy, and she noticed that he's got like a wedding ring on his finger, but obviously he can't be married if he's the love interest, so maybe it's like because it said that he still wears it, so maybe she's dead or like left him or something. I'm very intrigued to keep reading, but it's an easy read so far, very enjoyable. I wanted to update you all because I read to page 100 of It Happened One Summer last night. I was reading till about midnight or 12:30 because I was just so sucked in, and I just couldn't put the book down, and I thought, well, page 100 is the start of a new chapter, so that's a nice like round off point for me. So much has happened, and I know I said I wanted this vlog to be a bit more in-depth and more detailed, so I'm going to talk through a bit of what has happened. Basically what has happened is, so as I think I said last night, Piper got broken up with and then broke into this like fancy pool with a load of like celebrity friends, just to show that she's not like boring and to be like the centre of attention kind of thing, and just have some fun after she got broken up with. So then she ended up in jail, and she phoned her sister, and Hannah came and bailed her out, even though she was told by their stepfather not to. And then their stepfather has sent them to Westport, Washington for 3 months to run their dad's old bar, and it's not really been kept clean and like proper as it should have been, and they're like freaking out a bit because there's like mice in their apartment and all this, and she met Brendan and they didn't get off on the right foot. So basically every time she's met or bumped into Brendan, he's been quite rude to her and just seen her as like surface level and made assumptions about her that have made her feel awful. And so they were
in the supermarket and they didn't know that each other was there, and it was like 8:30 in the morning. He was just doing his like daily routine, and he could hear down the aisle next to him her asking Siri like for an easy meal, or like a meal that only needs 2 ingredients and things like that, because she's obviously never cooked or done anything for herself in her life because she's had everything given to her and done for her. So to be fair, it's the parents' fault for enabling that, but yeah. And so he was like a bit rude to her again, and then he realised and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, like make her some bolognese, like get the mince, brown it, add some like onions and mushrooms or whatever you want, add the sauce, and then put it over pasta. And she was like, oh, is it all like in layers or do I mix it? And he was like giving her tips and stuff, and he said, why do you want to try and cook anyway? Why don't you just get a takeaway? And she said she wanted to do it as a thank you for her sister, because her sister didn't have to go with her, but she was doing it to like show how much she appreciated her, basically, which I thought was quite good, that she was wanting to learn a new skill and show some appreciation for, you know, what her sister's doing with her. And so then she tries cooking it, and I think it was going well by the sounds, or semi-well, and then she washed her hands and dried them off on a rag that was like left on the side, but it was a rag that her sister had used for cleaning, that had been like soaked in cleaning products. So then it started this whole fire in the frying pan and stuff, and then she just ran out into the street holding this pan that had like a fire in it, like trying to see what to do with it because they didn't have a fire extinguisher. And he was sat in a restaurant across the way, and he spotted them and then quickly asked them for a fire extinguisher and ran over and put the fire out. Now he's changed the locks on their doors as well, and they've been to see the memorial for their dad because Brendan told her where it was, but I think she feels like she wants to know more about him and that side of things, because I think she's always felt like she's missed out, whereas Hannah's not so bothered because Hannah was a lot younger. So I only managed to read about 50 pages last night, but basically Brendan downloaded Instagram to have a look through Piper's account at her pictures, and then he followed her without knowing and realising what he was doing, and then he got someone from the local like hardware store to go and attach memory foam to the bottom of the top bunk, so then when she wakes up she wouldn't keep hitting her head and getting a bruise. And then she met Opal, who as it turns out happens to be their grandma, and they've decided that they're gonna actually try and like restore the bar of like a shrine to their dad kind of thing. And Piper seems to really want to know like a bit more about him and stuff. And then she turned up at the like memorial, not really memorial dinner, but like they always do like this potluck thing every year for Brendan's late wife, and she sort of didn't realise that that's what it was. Turned up with shots and was like, why the long faces, let's get this party started, really embarrassed. So then she ran out and he ran after her, and they had like a really cute little chat, and yeah, that's kind of where we're at so far. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving it actually. At the minute I can't find any faults with it too much. Like it's given me a bit like Wild Child energy. You know how like the movie with Emma Roberts, how she's really spoiled and only thinks of herself at first and is a bit clueless, but then she eventually starts like changing and developing, but still has that like fun nature. That's literally what she gives me. And then he gives me, like, as I said, Jason Momoa, Aquaman, sort of fisherman grumpy energy from that. And I've never seen Schitt's Creek because apparently that's what this is like inspired by, but maybe I need to give it a chance. Oh my god, okay, so They were teasing Brendan. Basically, Brendan walked into No Name and Piper told him that they were gonna redo it and they were going for like a sort of nautical theme, but like quite chic, and she was explaining what they wanted to do, and he brought some of his crew members along and they all were like helping them, and then they were all teasing Brendan about like not having posted an Instagram photo, and that like if he didn't post one his account would be deleted and he wouldn't be able to look at pictures. So he went outside and Piper posed him and he took a photo, and then he turned around to her and said, just so you know, I know they don't delete your account if you don't put up a photo. This wasn't to make me smile, it was to make you smile. And then he showed them that there was like this outdoor area to the bar that had been blocked off, and like a massive tree had fallen out there and stuff. So he cleared it away and built her a pagoda, and they've just had a kiss, a hot steamy kiss, and it's just... He asked her to dinner and she said yes, but she's like trying to remind herself that this has to be temporary. That scene had me swooning and giggling, kicking my feet. Chapter 14, that was a good one. So things have just got a bit spicy and steamy when they had their dinner at Brendan's house. I just want to read you this line because he says, "I'm going to starve to death without the taste of you." And that was just giving Taste of You by Dove Cameron and Rez. Like, that song, I could literally picture it in my head whilst I was reading that scene. I'm loving this book so much. I think I'm about halfway now. Okay, so I'm just gonna get myself another cup of tea, but I'm swooning over this book so much. Like, the fact that he was like, whenever she adds please to anything, I'm just gonna do it, like build me a castle or a palace, how many floors kind of thing, and he calls her honey and she calls him captain, and it's so freaking cute. Also, I don't know if there's meant to be, but I've spotted like quite a lot of Taylor Swift references in this as well. Like, that's just the Swiftie in me. But like, it's mentioned like This Is Me Trying, Ivy, like I'm sure it's mentioned more than that. I just can't remember them at the moment off the top of my head, but yeah, it's so good. I'm loving it. And basically what's happened now is there was a storm and she was panicking about him because it was like a typhoon that was coming in from Alaska where they were, and so she was panicking and hoping that he was okay, and then she went to his house to stay there because she just like needed to be somewhere that he had been. And so the next morning she gets woken up by a phone call from Hannah, who's like, "Oh, where are you? I've been trying to reach you." Like, apparently he's at the hospital with Sanders. So she drove all the way there after staying at his house because he gave her a spare key. Found he was okay, but it was Sanders had a concussion and they got a bit steamy at the hospital. At the minute they're sort of debating like what label they would give themselves. I just love this so much. Now I'm flying through it and I'm over halfway and I kind of can't wait to read it all, but I also don't want it to end. Oh my god, I finally just finished the 6,000 piece jigsaw. That has literally took me over a month. Okay, so since I last spoke to you, Piper
went out for a night out with her grandma Opal, because her grandma finally wanted to go out because she hasn't been out of the house for years, and she agreed to go on a night out with Piper. And so Piper went round, got her ready, got her all like glammed up, and then they went out. She was reassuring her grandma. She was like, no, it'll be fine, like everyone gets like, you know, nervous beforehand, but you'll be fine. And then they went to, I think it's called Blow the Man Down. She ended up like getting drunk because she was giving like all these other women like beauty tips, and like they made like a little catwalk area, and they were just having like a really fun time. And then Brendan was there, and he was just like watching her from across the room for a while, because he went to like pick her up, because he texted her earlier on to say he wanted to see her that night, and she said, oh, I'm going out, might see you there later, at Blow the Man Down. And then so he was like, she turned around and then she noticed him. He was like, oh, I've come to take you home. And she was like, home, where's that? And then he was like, with me. And then so they went back to his house, and then they started talking about some stuff, but because she was drunk he was like, no, we'll wait till tomorrow. So they didn't finish their conversation. So the next morning she wakes up and he's like cooking breakfast and stuff downstairs, and she's like teasing him because obviously they haven't really done anything since they were at the hospital. And then he's like, oh, we're going to talk about the stuff from last night first. Takes her out on his boat, and then they had a discussion about all this stuff, and they've come to an agreement that they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Then things got a bit steamy on the boat. This book is so freaking good. I think this has 5-star potential, which I was not expecting. I thought it'd just be like a fun, cute summer read and that would be it, but probably should have included this in my next video. Also, I forgot to say, when she was out at the bar, she basically said she was gonna throw a Labor Day party at their No Name bar. So I don't know if it's gonna be ready in time. So I'm loving their communication in this book, like the fact that they just like lay it all on the table and tell each other what they feel and things like that. I'm really enjoying it. So basically one of Piper's old friends from LA has just like been ringing her saying, look, everyone's wondering where you've gone, you're like the talk of the town, come back, we'll throw a big party, it'll be great publicity, all this. And Piper's kind of like not sure that she wants to stay in Westport, but she also doesn't really want to leave and go back to LA because she's in love with Brendan, and they've just told each other that they love each other, and they just keep discussing things and talking it through. So yeah, she's obviously got the Labor Day party to plan as well, and she's invited the stepdad because she wasn't going to, because she kind of thought like at least if she didn't get him to come early and change his mind, then she has a bit more time with Brendan. But she's invited him because Hannah asked about it, and so yeah, they've just spent the day like shopping and just having the best time together. And he was like, making you happy makes me happy, and he's got like loads of money because he just makes loads from being a fisherman apparently. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, he saves it all and he has his routines and he doesn't really do a lot otherwise. I'm gonna go for a quick walk because I've been filming for the last like 3 or 4 hours because I've been reacting to Speak Now Taylor's version, because that was top of my priorities this morning before I did anything else, and that was such a great time. Although I have so much footage and it took me like 3 hours or so. So pray for me when I edit that. But I'm gonna go for a walk, come back. I might do a little bit of reading. So it's actually really nice being able to get outside today, because I haven't been able to the last few days because of the weather and because I've been preoccupied with the jigsaw, which is now finished. I've just finished the book and 5 stars, I loved it.
I don't really have anything else to say because I've said everything else that I wanted to say throughout this video, so we're just gonna hop and jump straight into the second book, which is Hook, Line and Sinker. Okay, so I've just made a start and I've read the prologue, and he calls her Freckles and she calls him Peacock. So before I actually start, like, make a proper start on this book and go any further with this video, I just quickly wanted to say that we get like very, very small crumbs of Hannah and Fox in book 1. Like, they were introduced and they were a part of the story, and they sort of spent a little bit of time together, but that was it. However, the bonus scene at the end of the first book and the prologue at the start of this one have really helped to like lay the groundwork, to build the foundations and set the scene for their friendship and show how they became friends after how standoffish they were at first. And I love the fact that prologue was just texts, because I love different forms of media in books, like texts and everything. I love it so much. Apologies if you can't hear me because I'm my fan, by the way. But yeah, and it made it so quick and easy to just get up to speed with how they've been communicating, how they've, you know, built this friendship and kept it going. Apologies if you can hear my fan, it's way too hot. But last night I read to page 76 and I just love their banter so much. Like, not much has happened yet. Basically, Hannah has just persuaded her film crew, people that she works for, to go and shoot at Westport, because she was missing Piper, and she thought if she could get them to go to that location, she can see Piper and do her work, and obviously she can spend time with Fox since they're friends. I love the fact that he calls her Freckles and she calls him Peacock. Like, oh, it's just so cute, and it's so like original as well, like so different. Yeah, they've been texting and like bonding over music and stuff, and now she's going to be staying in his spare room because she wanted to stay with Piper, but they've got Brendan's parents. Piper and Brendan are engaged in this as well. But yes, there wasn't room at hers, so rather than getting a hotel, they said, why don't you stay in Fox's spare room, because he's going to spend half his time out on the water anyway, and then the rest of the time you guys are friends so you can get along. So yeah, that's what's happening. And he thinks that Sergei was a bit jealous of him like taking Hannah home and stuff, because obviously Hannah's trying to impress Sergei because he's like her long-time crush. So yeah, very interested, and she floated the idea of like fake dating, but he said no, and I'm wondering if it's going to actually happen or not, because we all know I love a bit of fake dating. Oh my god, so they've had a kiss. So basically she was at this like work party, and she got all dressed up because Piper helped her, like gave her a nice little red dress and some heels and stuff, and she went to this party to try and ask if she could help assist with the music for the film, because that's what she wants to get into, because she's obsessed with music, she loves it. And she had quite a few drinks. She wasn't like drunk, but she'd had enough to like, you know, loosen up a bit. And so she managed to ask them, and they agreed to it as long as she can handle the workload of what she normally does and doing that, as long as like she does both kind of thing. And then Fox showed up. She was like, how did you even know where to find me? He was like, well, I just followed the trail of drunk people, because it's not hard to find like out of towners that are at a party in Westport, because he had only just got back off the boat and she left him a note to say that she was going out to a party, and he went and collected her, and then they had a kiss. Oh, it's just so good and so cute. I mean, I don't quite think it's up there with the first one. Like, I wouldn't say it's given me a 5-star feeling yet, but it's very close. I'd say maybe like 4 stars at the moment. So I spent this morning putting the jigsaw together on our driveway outside because it's the only place that we have space, and then subsequently taking it apart, which has taken quite a while. So I haven't actually managed to do any reading yet today, but that's what I'm about to sit down and do now. However, last night I managed to read up to page 203, so I've probably only got about 150 pages left, I think, and it's not quite as good as It Happened One Summer, but I am really loving it and enjoying it. Their communication isn't as good as Piper and Brendan's, I don't think. However, whenever Fox tries to solve things in more romantic terms, shall we say, Hannah always says no, even though she's attracted to him, obviously, and he's attracted to her, but she says it because she's trying to like prove that he's enough on his own, because obviously everyone always just sees him as like this player and like gives him this reputation and things like that. So they do talk quite in depth about like feelings and issues and things. However, it's just missing some sort of spark for me that was in It Happened One Summer. Having said that, he has, since meeting Hannah, been celibate, and he's bought himself a record player and a collection of records, and they text every day, and they always text about like songs and things, and he's hidden his like record player and records because his apartment, there's like barely anything in it, so he has it hidden so that he knows where they are and he can get to them when he wants to, but so that Hannah and Brendan, all this, can't see them when they come round, so it's kind of like shut away. And she has always been able to fit like the perfect song to the perfect situation and mood. However, she's been really struggling with that since like for quite a while, but she's only just got it back because she was given some sea shanties that her late dad wrote from her grandma, and Fox sung one of them for her, and then she like felt connected to him because of like there hadn't been anything that had connected her to him before that, other than their love of music. So I've got to be quite quiet because it's late and my family are asleep, and apologies if you can hear my fan, but I just finished the book. I loved this so much. Hannah and Fox's relationship was so cute and I loved them as a couple. However, I think that I would only give this book, if I'm being honest, probably like 3.75 stars, because it was just a lot of back and forth and going over the same like insecurities and whole like will they won't they kind of thing. But the epilogue was so freaking cute. So this one I gave a 3.75 stars, and It Happened One Summer I gave 5 stars because I absolutely adored that book. So yeah, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up so that I know whether to do more like in-depth sort of things like this in the future or not. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of my uploads, and hopefully I'll see you in another video very soon.